knew that the museum had a greater impact, a greater mission. When I think of the Chicago Public School, there's approximately 568 schools. I come from a county where my grandfather was almost obscure. No one knew him, and here people knew him from all over the world. The objective of the Mississippi John Hurt Foundation is to reach children of all cultures and all backgrounds. To not only, I found music, a new meaning for music, as I stated prior. I'm not musically inclined, but I've seen the magic and the blessing that music can do. It cuts across cultural backgrounds. It doesn't have a color. It doesn't have a religion, or it brings people together, and you forget about other than this is a wonderful human being, and it has done that for me. And the time that my grandfather lived, he died in poverty, but yet I know he was rich, because my grandfather was 70-some years old when he left in 1963 to travel. And he got an opportunity to be loved and to know that people are people no matter what. And when he came back here, he was happy. My grandfather was happy. His life was fulfilled. He never complained about being poor. He was rich. And I hope and pray to God that I experienced the richness that he felt, to be able, and through this festival that I have a small piece of it, and I want to share that. I want to be able to share that with young people, to know that, hey, you can do anything that you want to do if you dream it. Anything that you dream. My grandfather, I know he did not know the impact that he had, because he was a very, very simple person, and he was not about the glitz and glamour of anything. He just wanted to play. He wanted to see people happy. And when he picked up his guitar, he lost himself. If there was any animosity in him, that guitar made him forget it. And I know with kids, when you teach them who they are and where they came from, they will forget about I'm poor. They will forget about any social and economic problem that you have, and realize there's some greatness in me. There's something inside of me. I can contribute something to the world. And whatever that is, you may not be a Mississippi John Hurt, but God creates everybody for something, for a reason. There's a how come and a what for everybody. And to be able to find that something just by listening to somebody play, or to music, or whatever that may be, maybe you're inspired to do whatever it is. But whatever that something is, I can't see. But I have no doubt in my mind that what that foundation has done, that little shack did, was what I had to do. It wasn't something that I planned. And it's not about me. It's much greater than me. I hope and pray to God, long after I'm gone, that some kid was inspired to do whatever he or she wanted to do. Maybe it's not playing the guitar. Maybe it's to be in the best carpet, or whatever it is. But there is a reason. There's a how come. And that is the objective of the Mississippi John Hurt Foundation. Children are our future, and they must be taught. And if especially as an African American, if you know the richness of your culture, and you don't know that, there is no way in the world you can strive to be the best that you can be, unless you can point to somebody and say, if that individual, with the circumstances that he or she lived in, and they made it, how come I cannot make it in the 21st century when technology and everything is so great? If you fail, it's your fault. You can do anything that you want to do. When I think about the way I was raised in the fields of Mississippi, then I multiply that 10 times worse than when my grandfather lived. And I made it. When I walk into a classroom, I refuse to accept failure. I tell my students where I came from. I let them know what poverty was. Don't you tell me you can't do it because you were black. Don't tell me you didn't do your homework because of this or whatever the reason. Unless you died. That's what I accept, death. And then I want a death certificate. I want to see that. There's no reason for you not to be able to make it. If you can read, you can do anything. And if you know where you came from and you know how great you can be, then why not be that? You cannot use someone else's mistake as a crutch. You didn't select your parents. God chose them for you. And if you are living, that means you're supposed to be doing something. And you're supposed to be doing something of service to somebody else. You're not here for your own self. I don't believe you are. You are to leave the world a little bit better because you live. This is Mary's view. And if the contribution through the Mississippi John Hurt Foundation and sharing it, because that's exactly what I want to do. It's not for me. I can't sing. I want to share it as my grandfather willingly gave his music to the world and to whomever wants to listen to it. And I hope and pray that the foundation grow far beyond this little tiny spot that it is in this pasture here. And there are, as when I see the kids skip across the stage and I see my nieces and nephews come, and I know somebody will emulate him. Someone, if not playing the guitar, they'll do something else. But whatever inspires you to be whatever it is that God created you to be, then do that. But be the best at whatever it is that you can be. And that's what my grandfather strived to do, is to be the best. And he is indeed the wind beneath my sail. Whenever I think about giving out, I think about it. I think about that little guy who, through great adversities, it took a lot of courage to do that. To just pack up and just leave. That was a very courageous thing. And I knew he was not happy in the city, but he did it. And for that, I'm so very, very grateful for sharing that, because I'm sure I would be a different person. I'm sure I would be. And I had an opportunity to take my students to a field trip to the Chicago, the House of Blues. And I didn't know that my grandfather's picture was there, and I was visiting the gift shop, and I was taking the kids there. And I looked up over the gift shop, and I saw this huge picture of my grandfather. And I read it, and much of what was written about him was incorrect. And I'm thinking, that's wrong. That's totally incorrect. And I thought about talking to the manager about that. Then I thought about what Toni Morrison said one day. She said, if it's a book you want to read, and it hasn't been written yet, then you must write it. You cannot expect someone to correct something that God has given you the ability to do. So whatever correction I can make, whatever I can do to further my grandfather's legacy and do whatever small contribution I can make, that is the primary goal of the Mississippi John Hurt. Not through me, but through someone else, or anyone that is inspired to do whatever. And when I see the people come from near and far, I can see the smile on Daddy John's face. I can see it. And I know that he's pleased, and that is where he would want to be. This is what he wanted, to share his music, not to keep it, to graciously give it. And that he has done that. And I'm so very, very grateful and thankful to be a part of it.
I'm sure he's satisfied and tickled too.
I certainly hope so.